Therefore, part of the sorting is the refinement of desire, the transformation of craving into creativity, the transformation of fear into clarity, and the transformation of uncertainty into curiosity. You become willing to ask, what wants to be born through me? And that single question reorganizes your timeline because it places you in partnership with life. This partnership feels like carried by a current, where effort becomes light and timing becomes clear, because coherence attracts coherence and the field meets you halfway. When many humans ask that question together, the collective begins to behave like a coherent organism, and that coherence becomes the foundation for the new systems of living that you have been calling in. Life remains fluid and forgiving, and your growth comes from the tone you sustain more than any passing thought, and you develop a clearer sense of how your field speaks, learning to guide it the way a musician guides an instrument, by listening and adjusting rather than by forcing. In this sorting wave, the most important ingredient is sincerity, because sincerity aligns your actions with your intentions and aligns your intentions with your heart. And when you are sincere, you stop sending mixed signals into the field. Mixed signals create delay and confusion, while coherent signals create momentum. You have seen this in small ways. The moment you decide fully, the path appears. The moment you release an obligation that never felt true, you receive an opening beyond what you predicted. The moment you commit to kindness as a way of being, the people who resonate with kindness find you. This is quantum mechanics lived as consciousness. A probability remains open while you remain divided, and a probability crystallizes when your energy becomes unified, and the heart coherence grid helps you unify. Now, many of you are experiencing what feels like multiple worlds happening at once, and this is where we invite you to remember that your planet contains layers of experience that can be called densities, dimensions, or bands of frequency, and the quantum reset increases permeability between these bands. You have what we might call a dense earth band, where perception is governed by fear, competition, and separation. You have a bridge band, sometimes felt as a transitional earth, where your heart begins to lead, where intuition becomes normal, where compassion becomes practical, and where synchronicity becomes daily language. You also have higher harmonic bands, where unity is obvious, where cooperation feels natural, and where creation feels effortless because the field is coherent. The reset increases the way you move between these bands, and your movement is guided by what you practice. If you practice fear, you strengthen the dense band. Practice coherence, and you strengthen the bridge band. Let Christed love with discernment become your practice, and the higher harmonic band strengthens around you. Therefore, the sorting wave is really the invitation to practice, because your practice is your portal. You will notice that people in the same city, even in the same family, can appear to be living on entirely different planets because they are tuning to different bands of experience. One person will see only threat and control, and another will see opportunity and awakening. One will feel trapped, and another will feel guided. One will expect betrayal, and another will expect cooperation, and both will find evidence for their expectations because the field responds to the tone you hold. This is why we emphasize sovereignty and responsibility in the most gentle way we can, because responsibility is freedom when you understand it. Blame has no place here. We are inviting you to recognize your power to contribute to the reality you prefer, and the quantum reset makes that contribution more effective. Now, as you move through this sorting wave, you will often feel that your desires become clearer, and this clarity matters, because desire is a creative force, and a focused desire becomes a blueprint. We want you to understand that your truest desires tend to arise from the heart, and they tend to be desires that bless more than just the individual self, because the heart naturally includes others. When you desire a world of peace, your desire is alignment. You are tuning to a reality that already exists as a possibility, and your alignment is a signal that invites that reality closer. Desire for relationships built on respect and tenderness tunes you to a timeline where those relationships are normal, and your tuning draws you into the meeting points where that normal can occur. In this way, the quantum reset is bringing humanity back to the art of creation as a collective, because you are learning to build together through resonance rather than through dominance. This is also why the Christed energy highways are forming, because when many hearts desire the same harmony, the field creates a pathway for that harmony to manifest. These pathways become new forms of community, new forms of commerce, new forms of education, new forms of care, and new forms of communication, and you will recognize them by their tone. They feel clean, they feel collaborative, they feel transparent, and they invite participation without coercion. Many of you will be surprised by how quickly these pathways can appear once you stop believing that change requires suffering. Your species has practiced growth through hardship for a very long time, and this practice created a mythology that pain is the price of evolution, while the heart coherence grid is teaching you a different mythology. Joy, ease, and alignment carry evolution beautifully. Challenge remains, and its role transforms into a teacher that speaks kindly. Now, we also want to weave in the way your cross-connections interact with the sorting wave. Because as your oversoul connectivity increases, you gain access to a broader intelligence, and that intelligence helps you make choices that are less reactive and more aligned. You may find yourself remembering talents you never trained, receiving solutions in dreams, meeting people who feel like family beyond time, and feeling guided toward places and projects without a detailed explanation. And this is because your larger self is participating more directly. Your larger self has always been participating, yet this moment increases your awareness of it, and awareness changes everything, because you then cooperate with the guidance instead of resisting it. As you cooperate, your life begins to feel like a conversation with the universe rather than a battle against it. And this is the lived experience of the quantum reset. Now, in this sorting wave, the heart coherence grid acts as a stabilizer, and it also acts as a filter, because coherence naturally filters out what is false. Falsehood can be very loud, very convincing, and very dramatic, and yet it carries a vibration of tension, and tension becomes easier to detect when you are coherent. Therefore, many of you will feel less interested in chasing every prediction, less interested in proving others wrong, and more interested in living the timeline you choose through daily devotion. You will become quieter in a powerful way, and your quiet will carry influence, because coherence is contagious. As more hearts stabilize, the negative timelines lose traction, and the higher harmonic pathways gain momentum, and you will see an acceleration of inventions, collaborations, and creative solutions that appear to come from nowhere, when in truth, they come from the collective readiness to receive them. This is why we encourage you to become receptive and to trust what arises within you, because the reset is delivering blueprints. It is delivering ideas, designs, methods, and structures that belong to the new Earth experience you have been summoning. And those blueprints will arrive first in the subtle realm as inspiration, and then they will descend into form through your willingness to act. Therefore, when you feel the quantum reset moving through your life, you can bless it by choosing coherence, by clarifying desire, by aligning your actions with your heart, and by letting your attention become sacred, because your attention is the currency that builds realities. And as you practice this, you will begin to notice the third pillar of this passage calling to you, because the universe offers timing windows that intensify reception, and these ignition windows serve as amplifiers for the very blueprints that your heart has been preparing to receive fully. The universe offers timing windows that behave like luminous amplifiers, and when you become sensitive to these windows, you begin to cooperate with them instead of being surprised by them, because you recognize that creation moves in waves, and waves have crests. These crests are what many of you call portals, gateways, ignition points, and you have also spoken of Kazemi moments, where a planetary archetype meets the solar heart and receives a new imprint. In this great galactic reset, the ignition windows feel more pronounced because the heart coherence grid is stable enough to translate the signals into lived experience, and therefore you sense the surge as inspiration, as memory, as clarity, and as an urge to realign. Your sun plays a central role in this, because your sun is a transmitter of codes, and when we say codes, we are speaking of information carried in light, information that your cells recognize, information that awakens dormant capacities and reminds you of ancient knowledge stored within your form. Your planet also participates, because Earth is a living being with her own rhythms, and when solar rhythms and Earth rhythms align with collective readiness, a window opens where upgrades, activations, and integrations occur with great efficiency. You have recently been moving through an early January corridor that carries precisely this quality, and you have named parts of it through your lunar language and your astrology. And even when the mind prefers exact dates and times, the deeper truth is that the corridor has a tone that lingers, because integration continues after the crest. Many of you felt the wolf moon as a bright mirror, a fullness that illuminated what was ready to be completed, and you felt it amplified because the moon was near her closest approach in the cycle, and proximity increases impact in the symbolic language of consciousness. In the same corridor, your planet moved through perihelion, her closest embrace with your sun in the yearly cycle, and this too carries a powerful archetype: closeness to the solar source, proximity to illumination, and a reminder that renewal often arrives through returning to center. Then you entered the solar conjunction corridors, where Venus and Mars pass through the solar line, and these conjunctions serve as reseeding moments for the archetypes of value and will. You have also been training yourselves through the gateways you call 1111, 1212, solstice, equinox, and Lion's Gate, and these names matter less than the principle beneath them. The collective becomes receptive when attention gathers, and attention gathers when humans share a symbolic moment. A portal is a communal focus point, a shared agreement that something is opening, and shared agreement creates a coherent field through which energy moves efficiently. This is why a solstice can feel like a gift, because the planet's tilt creates a natural pause, and that pause invites your own inner pause, and in the pause, you receive. In the early January corridor, another archetype was present as well. Jupiter's expanding tone near the full moon, a benevolent amplification that invites you to forgive yourself for being human while you are becoming more. Expansion feels exhilarating when the heart is open, and therefore Jupiter near a bright moon becomes a lesson. Expansion is safest when anchored in love.